I wanted things, but I mean, when I was younger, I didn't know how to get them.
Sure.
Right. So I just focused on what I needed to do. And that was, I guess, throughout, high school, it was just study, study,
Are you
study.
getting good grades?
Well,
Were you an A
enough.
student?
No, no, no. No, I wasn't actually. No, I wasn't. No, but I just, did the work, and then I just signaled intention. So to my mother at the time, or family, I wanted to study industrial psychology.
Okay.
And we obviously looked at WITS and UJ. I applied for industrial psychology at both of them.
Okay.
And then they rejected me, but said you can come back when you get your marks in Jan.
Okay. So upgrade or waiting for your metric results. Okay.
Yes. So we did that. Went to WITS, and they said no. You need a minimum of 60 for English.
Okay.
I didn't have a minimum of 60, so that door shut. UJ did not even entertain me.
Okay.
And then my mom is like, dude, listen, there's actually a response I got.
Okay.
Then I'm like, what do you mean? She says, there's this university. I haven't heard of it.
Where are you based at the time? Is it in Joburg?
I was in Joburg for a week when all that mess was happening.
It was happening, but
Yeah.
originally, where were you staying?
Originally,
Yeah.
Bushbuck Ridge.
Oh,
so
okay.
back in
Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So then we went through the emails, and Northwest University then took me for, I think, bachelor's of environmental development,
But not industrial psychology.
not industrial psychology.
Okay, so what was the driving force of industrial psychology? Because I mean, like, did you just want to do it for aesthetics, or did you why industrial psychology?
I think I always spoke like sense. I always spoke a lot of sense. So
Deep. You're wise.
I've always been right, and
Okay.
so I like speaking to people. I like
Sure.
listening, understanding people. One of the key traits that kind of make me successful in my career is the ability to listen to people, and that just comes from from a young age. I grew
Okay.
up with a lot of ladies, so I mean, they just listened.
Okay.
So I think I picked that up, and then from that, I thought I could get into psychology.
Okay.
But I thought of the workplace type of psychology,
Okay.
because that looked a lot
So
more.
industrial psychology has to do with workplace.
That's what.
I don't even know what they
thought.
do.
That's what I thought. I mean, that's really what I thought. I
Okay.
believe so. So that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So badly. But yeah, that
And then you
didn't
get
happen.
accepted for something else.
For something else. I did not know what to do with politics. So I just got in there, and I think the first question I asked is it easy to graduate?
You wanted your way out and you had to graduate. That was the key point.
Yeah, because obviously you don't want to fail. You're thinking of all the fees, because
Sure.
I mean, everything was paid for by
Okay.
family, so I didn't get bursary. So you kind of, is it easy to
graduate.
To graduate, and I did maths lit. So the maths lit crew generally want to come in,
Get out.
get out.
Sure.
So that's the first question I asked, and as I got in, I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Okay.
Politics, and it was just more theory. I thought I would learn about Jacob Zuma, nothing
Yes.
like that.
That's what I'm thinking about. Every
Nothing
time
like
I'm
that.
thinking politics, I'm like, so you guys are sitting there discussing, okay, Malema, Zuma, Cyril, and all of that.
Nope, nothing. I was actually bored. It
Really?
was interesting from okay, it's happening, but from what is this? We obviously understood politics to be everything that's happening in the
Yes.
real world. So
Yeah.
in practice, that's what politics was. But what they were teaching us is the theory
Of it.
that the politicians are using in practice.
Okay.
You
So
know-
do you guys then become politicians? Okay, let's not look at the state of our country, but in an ideal world, if you studied political science, would you then be equipped to be like a politician, a minister, or whatever the case may be?
100%.
Okay.
100%. In my mind, I mean, there are so many other things that you need to do. You need to be involved in politics
Sure.
to kind of apply the theory. But with the theory, you can play in the political
Okay.
space, right? Actually, you should. because you kind of have the necessary, theory and work behind you that backs you.
Sure.
But in our world, you kind of
You can just wake up and you're like, I've got to.
stuck.
Okay.
You're actually stuck. I mean, I've got so many views about that degree. I'm just super grateful I got out into employment, even though it's not what I studied. But I guess we'll get into that. But I've got so many views about that.
Okay,
that
like
degree.
as you say, so many views, because I always encourage people, like the other week I was telling somebody that it's important that you do research on the type of degree that you're going to study, because there are philosophical degrees and they're professional degrees. Would you say a degree in political science, is it philosophical? Like in terms of, does it get you another job besides like what we alluded right now to say, okay, you could be a politician in an ideal world. What do they do?
I think, okay, maybe it's like the Northwest University, but I mean, they also have one of the best programs in that space. I think it's kind of set up that you end up, I mean, in the absence of joining a political party and being like ever present in that space,
Sure.
you kind of then get into academia.
Oh,
Right. So
okay.
that's almost where you end up.
So
You
that's your
start-
safest.
That's your safest bet.
Okay.
It's ultimately why I did my honors. Because
Okay.
at some stage I was like,
You're like, okay, I could pursue
I need a
this.
fail safe. Right. So I needed a way out, which would not let me sit unemployed. So I did my honors. I was thinking I could do my masters and, because I also love teaching. So
Okay.
I was actually seeing a career in being a lecturer.
Okay,
And it was
that's what I want to do after 5 years or so.
I think it's a nice thing, though. Obviously, I mean, I don't know if lecturers these days are paid nicely, but
As far as I know, they get paid decent, but they have good benefits. Yeah, so you're not going to be Bill Gates with a lecturing salary, but you are going to travel the world on the expense of the
enough,
institution.
fair enough.
You're going to have like your medical aid and all of those things, but you are going to have a good salary to look after yourself and your family. You're comfortable, but not rich.
yeah, I think there's a lot of work also. 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to write articles.
And all of that. So, yeah.
But I think that's where politics was going to get you. So,
Okay.
like in academia, hence you have a lot of political analysts,
Okay.
commenting on each and everything on these news platforms.
Okay.
That's ultimately where they go.
Okay, so I assume that you said when I asked you if you're an A student, you say, nah, of which I don't believe that. How did you get to do your honors? Because not asimang limang.
I was very the head of the faculty.
Sure.
We're tight.
I know you're not. Like you actually contradicted yourself. You said you've always spoke sense. It takes intelligence to speak sense.
No, look. I was in high school. I don't think I was like
Good.
an A student. I was actually just playful. I
Okay.
played rugby a lot, so
Okay.
I kind of focused a lot on rugby.
Sports.
Sports. Yeah, I could have done better.
Okay.
Right. So, but in varsity it was different. The stakes were a lot higher.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to fail.
Yeah.
So every single thing that we did, you had to do it like you had to do
With
it
intention and
like,
deliberacy.
you-
Yeah.
like you had to make sure you get like 80 or 70% before an exam in case something happens, So I always try to push myself.
Okay.
But I think it was also quite easy because like I think I'm quite good with theory. So I could translate that into like decent marks.
Okay.
So I think that's how I ended up with my honors opportunity.
Okay. So you've studied your political science degree and it's something that you stumbled upon, ne? I love that you actually decided to actually go to school, because some other people would say, no, I didn't apply for that, I'll wait, But what was the reason why you didn't say, I'll wait till next year or I'll go and upgrade my marks? Why choose to take what's offered to you?
I think the dream that was sold is, and how I looked at it is, you need to get a degree to get work.
Okay.
I think in our community, a degree, regardless of what the degree is, was equivalent to a job. Similar to now when, to study to be a doctor means you'll get a job. Like,
Sure.
and it's contrary these days.
Yes, because I was about to say, let's go into that. What do you think about that view of saying you get a degree, you get a job, looking
but
at the current?
It's wrong. It's wrong because that's not the case.
Yeah.
That is not the case. And I wish I knew better. I
Sure.
mean, if I did, if I had like the right guidance, I would have actually done, things that I actually love.
Okay.
What do I love? I've always like been a creative, so I
Sure.
would have actually studied things that, meant I don't need to be like just rely on the hopes of getting a job.
Sure.
But I can take a skill and sell it and make money. I think that's the mind shift change that we all have to do now, right? Versus just graduate.
Yeah.
Right. It's actually so painful that you graduate and you aren't in a position to get a job because your degree does not really represent a skill
Sure.
that is in demand. So that's where that's where I'm a bit.
Okay. So for a person at home or a person that is in their matric and they're looking to study, what would you recommend to them? Like, what are the things to look at when you pick a particular choice of study?
I think the biggest thing right now, and I was having this chat with my nephew who was doing grade 8 last year.
Sure.
So he's like, yeah, like I'm just gonna do maths lit because it doesn't matter. I just need to pass. I'm like, no, man. I think sometimes what we need to do is take yourself out of a job hunt, if I can put it that way.
Sure.
So sometimes we look at ourselves and say, this is what I want to do. Sometimes it's not what the country needs from a skills perspective.
Sure.
So I think and then we went on an exercise where I said, do the research. What are the top 10 skills that are required? Data analysts, like cybersecurity engineers,
Yeah.
like so many different
And
skills.
I think we don't have that in South Africa. Like, it's very scant. And imagine you're the first few, you would make so much money and you would actually make a difference.
You would. And
Yeah.
I think from a investment perspective, companies would actually invest in in you going to
Yes.
varsity, getting the right type
Sure.
of education. I think we didn't focus on stuff like that. So I would say definitely do research on skills shortage
Sure.
and then fit yourself in that.
Okay.
Right? Don't try and fit
Into what's
yeah,
happening,
like,
what's available,
it's-
what's most trending.
in my mind it's about you, but it's not about you.
Okay.
Look at the skills, look at the needs that you need to actually fulfill and help with.
Okay.
And then fit yourself into that.
Okay.
That's what I'd say.
Okay, so what are the requirements? Would you recommend somebody to study political science before I ask you about the requirements?
Yes.
Okay.
But not to get a job.
Okay.
So from
for
a,
other reasons.
like from a theory perspective, like if you're into theory and you actually want to like understand how and what is happening in our country, politics is flipping amazing. Like
Okay.
Learned the whole capitalism, Marxism,
Sure.
and all those things. Like the theory is like ridiculously amazing.
Okay.
It's a nice thing to learn, but
Okay.
it's not a job
Type of degree. So, okay, but then I think from our conversation thus far is if you want to go into academia, you can actually go into
Go for
politics
it.
confidently, do your honors, masters, and you can go into
Go for
academia.
it. Like if you want to be a journalist,
Yes.
actually go for it.
Okay.
Because it's an analytical degree. Like you
okay.
need to get into it, take theory, analyze, practice.
Okay.
It's an analytical degree. So if you really want to do stuff like that, maybe we can actually change the narrative. How do you
Okay.
take your degree? And I mean, it's a YouTube world, or it's a
Okay.
social media world where people want to learn information,
Sure.
right? But they don't know how to summarize it. Like, so if you take that degree as a skill and you summarize certain things, put them up on social media, like that might be another way for you to make
Okay.
money.
So
I
you
guess
need to be creative
yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah.
So what are the requirements for a person that is thinking of studying?
Remember,
Oh,
I
hey,
didn't do my own
Bonje,
application.
Bonje, Mama, siyakucela in the comment section.
Remember, I didn't do my own application, but
Okay, I'm sure at honest level you did something.
no,
At honest level, what were the requirements?
at honest level, how did I get into honest? I just applied. But at honest level, I think you did. So also I didn't do political science for honors. I did public management.
Oh, okay,
And
I see.
governance, right?
Okay.
So I just had to like ultimately get above 65s.
Okay.
Within that space. But I think also what they do is they profile your character.
Okay.
In as far as like that. So are you a fit? And I think they try and fit you in academia.
Okay.
Not so much like the workspace.
Okay.
You know, so I think I fitted that from a character perspective.
Okay.
And I got like, 65s here and
Okay.
there.
All right.